Hello, 380-500, Dr. Allen here. A few things before we kind of get going. One, first week has been great. You all have been throwing stuff up. I know it opened up on Tuesday and I started to see things, and that is definitely the way to tackle a summer class. With all that being said, we're going to jump into week 2. I've got a good bit to go over again. I guess that's the pain of a 5-week class. But just to kind of let you know, I'm going to chunk it. So I'm going to film this all in one, but feel free, to watch this in pieces. So I'll have the YouTube link and such, just so you kind of know. So I'll kind of, even when I'm doing the video, I was thinking about this, I'll just kind of give you the heads up. I'm like, okay, now we're going to move on to this if you don't want to watch, a whole bunch at one time. Remember, you have a week. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Slowly share my screen. And I'm going to jump right in to week 2. And if you look here, I'm going to go ahead and get our syllabus pulled up. This is the 380 syllabus. It is the same for 500, except for one thing that I do want to point out with 500. I want to go over the research paper a little bit at the end of this. So when we get towards the end, I'll probably tell 380, you don't have to listen to the rest of this. If you're 500, just listen. But I'll give you that heads up. But this week, it's another one. I try to color code for my own sanity here on this too. Again, I'm filming this on Wednesday, I'm looking at this the 25th. So don't forget, I'll probably open this a little early too. Don't forget to have everything posted for the first week by 11:59 on Sunday. And I didn't say this last week, if you really are overwhelmed with trying to get some of this stuff in, just fire me an email. I understand summer gets a little crazy sometimes and it's so compact. It's also going to be the case with this next week. This next week, we have a good bit of tech. It's not complex tech. One thing that's really impressed me with everyone's getting the websites done. I think the websites sometimes are the trickiest part because it's so clunky. The rest of this is pretty straightforward stuff. But still, it's the volume I kind of worry about a little bit. But this week, we're going to actually we're going to have a second discussion board. It's a more traditional topic. It's not going to be arts and culture. And then you're going to pick one of these texts and just do a review on it. I don't care which one it is. It could be the QR codes, the Flipgrid, the Ed Puzzle, and or the presentation software. We'll talk about all that. The other thing that I mentioned last week that I said I would talk about this week was the lesson plans. They're not traditional lesson plans. It's more of almost like a brainstorming exercise. But if you look down here, there's something called lesson plan assignment. I will have the template here, and actually I will pull up the template here in a moment. I think I have it here. Please say I have it here. If not, I'll jump out and get it. Oh, there it is. All righty. This will be posted under that lesson planning template. Or module, sorry. Basically what I'm going to do, and I will actually put up a sample for you also. I want you to pick just brainstorm 3 lessons. I usually like them to all be connected. So if I'm a social studies teacher, like if I was going to do something on the Renaissance, I would like all 3 lessons to be, this one might be on the art. This might be on humanism. This one might be on some of the leaders or something like that of the Renaissance. But basically what you have to do, 4 is optional. You don't have to do it. I just put it on there in case anyone's really on a roll. I want you to do your standards and learning objectives for this. I want West Virginia standards. I'll put the link up there if you haven't worked with them. I know this course is kind of starting to open up a little more with aspects of having students who haven't junctured yet and some who have. So if you haven't looked at the West Virginia learning standards, I will send a link out for that. Whoops, I was going to actually move this down so I can show you. They are very simple. You only need 1 or 2 in there, but it might be West Virginia. Oh, state standard. I look them up all the time. So, whoops. I clicked that like 4 times. Up there you go. That's like my social studies one, and there will be right there. Let's say if I was doing a 6th grade lesson, and there's my standards. Boom. Like how do a bill becomes a law? That's my standard. Again, I want you to do that. And your objectives, those are your students will be able to boom. And again, I'll have a sample up for you. I just want a very, very brief summary of what you're thinking to do with this. This is, again, not a super detailed lesson plan. It's just you brainstorming it. So you can bullet it even if you want. But I'd say just a few sentences, like, what are you thinking about doing? Like, I'm going to use Nearpod to have students identify famous works of art in the Renaissance. And that's kind of like, again, builds upon the technology. This is the important part with this assignment. I would like 3 different types of tech used in this. I don't want Nearpod, Nearpod, Nearpod. It could be like Nearpod, Kahoot, Google Classroom, or website, Nearpod, GimKit, or something like that. You can repeat in there, but I need to see 3 different techs. I'm not going to count Smartboard. Some people like to use Smartboard. I'm not saying it's not a tech, but I'd like to use some of the applications that are from this class if you could. 21st century skills, just in case you're not familiar with that, that is something I'm going to talk about today, but I might just go ahead and do that. Whoops. Slowly. I should have probably pulled all this up before I went in there, but that's okay. I don't like those maps. Let's see if I can just pull up the images. This helps usually more than anything. Yep, there we go. That's a good one, actually, if I believe correctly. They're not anything too complex. There you go. I'm gonna make this big so you can see it. If you look here, I'll put some links up to them. 21st century skills are usually summarized in with the 4 C's. That's critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. Now there are subs in there, like some of it might be technology use and things like that, but these are the 4 C's. This is the thing, as when the year 2000 hit, everyone had all these big ideas how everything was going to change. That's what I want you to think about. Which one of those, critical thinking, creativity, communication, or collaboration, that you're going to use. And actually, if I'm really on the ball, let me go back. Sorry, I think I said this last week. Sometimes I just go on the fly with this. This is just like in the classroom. There we go. There's the 4 C's. And I think this is the real nice link, if I remember correctly. Yep, there's the 4 C's. And then they get into it and they talk about some of the things you can do in there with the 4 C's. I will post this up so you have it underneath the lesson planning section. But that's basically the thing that I want you to do, is just kind of think which one of those 4 C's would your lesson be doing. Is it students actually communicating via group work, or are they doing it on some sort of tech thing? Are they using the hyperdocs to like work together? To me, that is still doing some form of communication, because you're just doing it. You're doing it in a written fashion. But that's 21st century skills. That is something that you have to have on your lesson plan. Let me go back. Oop. And finally, what is the assessment? Like, how are you going to assess them? Is it going to be, are you going to do a test at the end? Are you going to use the technology? Are you going to have a writing assignment? You can bullet this. Again, you don't have to go into too deep a detail. This is just a brainstorming type thing. So I'll post the sample up for you. Most people bullet things. And as long as I can see the symmetry and you're doing it, you're fine. Here's the other thing I wanted to mention with this. I don't know if you all know this. Obviously, you won't know this. But you're a little bit of, we're doing a little bit of a test pilot, I guess, guinea pig type situation here. You might have to deal with this a little bit in the fall anyway. Our department, for our accreditation, we have to accumulate information from our classes and things like this. Every class does it. We've always done it. We're trying a new system though now. We used to have something called TK20. We've kind of went away from that. Now we have something called iRubric. When you submit your lesson plan, I'm not for sure how this is going to go. So if you could, I will have 2 different spots. I will have this one, and actually let me just go ahead and put it here for you. You can submit it here, and you're going to need to submit it here. I don't know what's going to happen when you click here, because this is the first time we've done this. So put it here as backup, put it in there, because I really want to see what happens. And if it gets too complex, just email me. But again, this is the iRubric one, and that's the one that we're really interested to see what happens. And since this was a smaller class and the fall isn't here, we're gonna do a pilot. So when you submit your lesson plans, you can do it there and you can do it there. This is already open, as if you notice. So if you want to go ahead and get on the lesson plans, you can and get it done. That does not faze me one bit. If you want to wait till the end, you have until the 23rd. That's fine. But I know with summer, some people like to work ahead. The other thing, I know I've mentioned this before, but please don't forget your certification stuff for Apple or Google. I think I mentioned it last week, but I think the Apple one's a little more straightforward. That is also due at the end of the semester, I guess summer semester, but please make sure that you do that. Again, you can do the Google level 1 if you want to pay the $10 and just take the test. But I think this one's probably, it seems like more people are getting more out of this. And truth be told, I kept it because it was I had already started building the class. I think in the fall, I'm actually going to remove the Google one and just make people go back to this. Is what I used to do. But you have the choice. So that is the lesson plans. Again, contact me. I know I'm going through this a little quick, trying not to keep the video too long, but I'll email directions, but you can just summarize it. I will have a sample. Those 4 C's will be up there for 21st century skills. And basically, as we're doing our technology, that's what we're kind of looking for. How are you using Kahoot? To me is collaboration. So I'm sure most of you have done Kahoot or know what Kahoot is. That's something we want our technology to kind of incorporate those 21st century learning skills. So that's that. Now, next part, I guess I said I'd have a little break. This is, the next part of this. We have a lot of tech that we're going to look at. That's a long list. I'm actually only going to focus, excuse me, hiccup. Not stopping though. That's a long list. We're really only going to focus on a few. I have videos up on the others if you're really interested, but the ones we're going to focus on today are going to be Nearpod, Edpuzzle, QR codes, and Flipgrid. Pre-pandemic, I would have said a lot of these, no one would have known what they were because we used to go over these. With the pandemic, almost everyone knows what Flipgrid is. I think most people at this point know what a QR code is. Edpuzzle, I think most people know what it is. And of course, Nearpod. I'm going to show you Nearpod first, but I will say this. Sorry, my phone. That was my phone. If you heard it ding, I should have had it off in class. Just turned it off. Some of you probably have started to see Pear Deck. I was in Washington County schools a good bit in the spring, and they definitely use Pear Deck more than Nearpod. They're very, very similar. I have used Pear Deck. I've incorporated it. I will say, though, my loyalties are probably more to Nearpod. Actually, I won't even say probably. They are, only because I've used it for about 10 years. I did the certification training for it. I'm just familiar with it more. So I'm going to focus on Nearpod. I do have a video up on Pear Deck. And if we had more time in this class, I would probably just go through both. But I think if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick Nearpod. But I want you to be aware. Powtoon, Prezi, I have videos up. There are other presentation softwares. I think they're kind of a little bit of glorified PowerPoints. They add some pizzazz to it. Prezi is kind of falling out of it. Was a big thing in the mid 2000s. It kind of zooms in and it goes woof, and then it shows you stuff. Some people still use it because they created it. So I wanted you to be aware of it. But really, I think these top two in terms of presentation software are big. Powtoons, I do see some people use, and if you want to check it out, that's fine. But I would say coming out of this class, if you know the name Nearpod or Pear Deck, that's a good thing. And I'm going to go ahead and do Nearpod first, and then I'll come back and do the other things. But if you go down here, Nearpod presentation, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to do a title page. You're going to have to do 9 slides of content, content being something you would discuss with your students. But when you get in here, you can create, there's a lot of different things in here. I want you to add some things. And for some reason with the transfer, I'll fix that. The T's all became dashes. That was a Sakai bright space issue. But one of the slides can be a poll. One of the slides can be open-ended question, and one can be a quiz. And that'll make more sense in a minute. So basically what I'm saying is you need 10 slides. 7 need to be like informational, student-y type stuff, content, and 3 need to be bells and whistles. So you're probably going to say, what is he talking about? Well, luckily for us, I'm going to show you. All right, a few things. First thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to nearpod.com. Nearpod, when you click here, I'm assuming a lot of you are familiar with it. Let me give you the bells and whistles of one thing that it does do. Nearpod is one of those things where when you create it, I'll show it to you here in a second, but once you create your PowerPoint and you hit play for students, you get a code. And if students have a device, like if I have my phone here and I have my Nearpod app, I'll get a code. the PowerPoint goes on their screen and they can give you automatic feedback. Like if you have a poll, they can click on it. If they have an open-ended question, you can type on it and they can type the answers and you can see them. You can show them to the class or not. But as you can see here, there's a login. Click that. And it's probably going to ask you log in. Now this is a big one. I have an account. I'll go ahead and log in here in a second. But if you look on here, if you don't have an account, that's fine. I would just sign in with your Google. Everyone should have a Google account from the Google Classroom. That's the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Now here's the key. I think I said this last week. Will I remember my password? No, but I think I know what it is. It's not that one. Now, as you can see, I've used this a lot. There are a lot of there's a lot of pre-made PowerPoints, well, Nearpods on here. I want you to create your own, is what I'm saying. And some of them do cost money. And that's the other thing I want to tell you. I do pay a little bit a month for a little bit of bells and whistles with my Nearpod so I can add different stuff. I'm not asking you to do that for this class. The 3 things you need to do, open-ended question, poll, and quiz, are all part of the free Nearpod. But just to kind of show you what it does, let me hit one that's actually an educational type one. That's a good one. I guess it really doesn't matter. Okay, well, as you can see here, when you hit live participation in front of class, student pace, you can also send these codes to students and they can work at their own pace. But when you hit this, you can see I probably should have hit another one. There's virtual field trips you can do and things like that. As you see, there's a code. That's what the students put on their device. And then there's a lot of things, like it talks about the video, how should it play. I always have the teacher play, because if there's lag and all the students are watching it on their own device, if you're doing it as a class, there's a lot of different things going on noise-wise. But yeah, that's a video that I embedded. Let me get back. I think there's a better one that I can show you. You know what? I'll just go tried and true here. This is one I've used before in some of my ed classes. Some of you, a lot of familiar names, by the way. Some of you may have seen this, but there's the code. That's what the students have. And by the way, if you notice, you can send the link. You can embed it in a Google Classroom. But when you go in here, you click that. There's a lot of different things that it does. This is a collaborative board. You could use this. I don't know if this is part of the free one. I have this. I pay $10 a month for this. But when students answer, it throws up answers like with sticky notes on a board. And you can kind of see, name someone you think is intelligent. I'm just kind of want to show you a few of the bells and whistles so you know what I'm talking about. I think, oops, that's an old one. That's an open-ended question. You'll be able to do that. So let me get my face out of the way. I did this for one of the at 200s. There's another boards. Definitely stuck on those open-ended questions. A field trip. As you can see, here's the virtual one, and your students will get to some device. Like I had students that had iPads and they can zoom in and stuff like that. I will tell you, if you use this, there's a lot of cool stuff with it. There's also science diagrams and things like that. Make sure you go into this with a goal where students have to look for things, because when I first started using Nearpod, students would go in and they'd be looking, like there was some we do street views of like the Eiffel Tower, and they would be on the lamppost looking for words that they shouldn't be looking for, I guess is the easiest thing I can say, and things like that. But anyway, that's the field trip. And was there anything else? I don't know if I had the quiz on here. That's again, oh, that is a quiz type question. So that's one. Yeah, there you go. And it had A, B, and C. So, and then there's also polls. That's also what the poll looks like. So anyway, oh, you can draw. I think I didn't, but you can have students draw on Nearpod. So it's a cool thing. Long story short, let me go back. Do anything? Whoops. Yeah, that's fine. Slow. All right, kind of give you just a really quick overview of what Nearpod does. If you want to create one, you just hit create. Once you create your account, you want to create a lesson. Okay. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to tell you how I do it because I think it's easier for your content. If you look here, you can actually just click Add New. You can add a slide, and it'll do that for you. You can type it. Awesome. And there's all that. I'm going to cancel that. Or this is what I do a lot. If you look down here, there's PowerPoint and PDFs. If you have a PowerPoint and you create that you like, and I have no problems if you do this, maybe you've already taught or you've created one in another class and you want to do something with it, that is fine. All you do is you click that PowerPoint, you drag that file over and you drop it in there, and the slides will come up over in here. I will tell you though, if you do like a prior PowerPoint, you won't be able to edit it once it goes in there. So make sure it's what you want to do. But yeah, you can definitely do that. And actually, do I have one sitting around? Let me look, I'll show you. Let's see if I have one. That might actually work. Sorry, slow. I guess the computer's on summer break also. It's loading over on my other screen. I just wanted to make sure I showed you. I think it's the better way to go with this sometimes. There we go. Actually, a couple of you are in my 422 class. This is actually a PowerPoint we do, so you'll get a little sneak preview. All right, let me make this easy for myself. All right, let me go over and grab it wherever I threw it. I don't see where I threw it. The silence, sorry. This is just like a class if I was looking for something, isn't it? Okay, so it is definitely there. I just need to see where I threw it. Sorry, it's on my desktop. This was a little impromptu, but let me go through and see if I'm overlooking. Oh, there it is right there. All right. Take that PowerPoint. You see where I'm dragging it? There's my PowerPoint. Watch what'll happen. It's going to load it. Boom. When I click OK, it's loading. And in a minute here, you see it processing. As it says, I can sit back and relax while everything is being there, take a brain break. I'm actually hoping it speeds up since I've been looking for this file. There it goes. As you can see, everything is already on there. You don't have to have that much. Now, if you do it this way, which I think is the better way to do it than to type all that, then you hit Add New. And if you look, there's all this stuff. There's some cool stuff. You can check it out. Some of this, I'm not for sure what the free account has on some of this and what it doesn't. As you can see, there's more down here now. There's the draw it. There's things you can add. One thing you have to do, by the way, if you notice, there's a flip grid, which is another thing. I don't care really what activity you add. I have open-ended question, poll, and quiz. But if you, whatever you want to add, I don't care. I just want you to add an activity for the students. We talked about collaboration being one of the 21st century skills, but I'm going to do open-ended question since I have it on there. Slowly, I'm going to do open-ended question. I would click it, and it's going to, there it goes. My question might be, how would you define social studies? Save it. Slowly. And if you look, it's down here. So wherever I want that question in my students to work with, you just put it there. So I might put it right at the beginning, and I'm going to save and exit. And that's my thing. You have to do 3 of those. You have to have 10 slides. Someone's going to ask, does the title slide count? No, it does not. So you need 10 content. So really you need 7 things with good knowledge or information, and then you need 3 activities. I don't really care what the activities are, but if I know quiz, open-ended question, and polling are on there as ones. So that's your goal. That's your pod. If you have questions about that though, I do have, again, I like to put these backup videos on there. There will be a Nearpod video up if you need it. And there's that. So that's Nearpod. That's one thing you have to do. If you want to do Pear Deck and you're more familiar with it, feel free. I'm going to make sure. I must have taken it down and I have no clue why I did that. I will make sure there's a Pear Deck video up. I'll do that today. Make sure that it's there. But if you want to check out Pear Deck, I don't think it's a bad thing to do, or at least be familiar with it. But it's very similar to Nearpod. I do feel like Pear Deck works with Google better because it's kind of a Google thing. And also, it has a lot of more Venn diagrams and charts, and a lot of people really like that. I went out in the field and saw a student teacher out in Clear Spring, and she rocked a Pear Deck. It was awesome. It was very much like a Nearpod. I'm just Nearpod loyal. That's neither here nor there. So, and a lot of the school districts actually do have Nearpod accounts. That it brings me to another thing. If you use a school account, that's good. Just make sure you make a copy if you have your own account, because if you leave that school district and it's a school account, you might not have access to some of your old Nearpods. So, and again, don't pay for anything. That's Nearpod. So you can cut off if you want to chunk this. All right. The next thing you have to do this week is Edpuzzle. I think Edpuzzle is very cool. Most of the time, everyone loves Edpuzzle. Every once in a while, though, some people don't like Edpuzzle. Not because it's not a cool tool. It is a little clunky, not website clunky, but it's a little, it takes a minute or two to get used to what it's doing. Actually, before I started this video, I actually had to go back in and get my brain kind of Edpuzzle coordinated. There'll be some videos. I already have those posted, and there's an Edpuzzle lecture if you need it. But your assignment with this is you're going to create an Edpuzzle account. Don't worry, the Google works again with this. Select a video. It can be anything from Edpuzzle. It could be YouTube, Khan Academy, Crash Course, everything. And that'll make sense here in a minute when you see. Also, you can make your own. I don't think you need to do that though for this. That's an assignment for another day. But you can actually make your own videos and post on Edpuzzle. All right. I would like the videos to be no more than 5 minutes. So if you pick a 10-minute video, you are going to have to crop it down and do a little editing. Don't worry, it's very easy with Edpuzzle, and I'll show you that here in a second. And you need to insert some combination of voiceover, audio, or quizzes, a total of 5. I don't care what you do. If you want to just do 5 questions, that's fine. And this will make sense when I'm saying it, but it can be a mixed match. And if you look, you're going to submit the link on, it says bright Sakai, but I'm still catching some of those. Sorry, I'm going to fix it while I see it. Submit under that. And again, if you have any major problems, just email it to me, but it is better if you put it on Brightspace just because it's there. All right, so you're probably saying, all right, so what is Edpuzzle? Well, I think I thought I had Edpuzzle open. Maybe I did. I must have closed it. Not one of my brighter moves, but that's okay because we can Google it. All right, Edpuzzle. I think I might already be logged in. And just in case, let's make sure. All right. Again, do not pay for anything. I think Edpuzzle also has a beefed up thing where you can get more videos and stuff. Don't do any of that. All right, I am logged in, but don't worry, I'm going to log out so I can show you. I told you I did do a content crash course there with that. All right. I use this a lot, especially when the pandemic started and when everything was asynchronous. You're just going to hit login, teacher. And as you can see, you can sign in with Google. So when you create your account, you can again just use your Google account. Mine's actually through my Shepherd. Okay. There's a lot going on. I do think Edpuzzle's like, I wish their screen was a little cleaner, but that's not, I still think it's a pretty cool tool. So you can look, there's things called My Content. These are things and videos that I've used. There's your classes that I've made for it. As you see, there's one for us. I usually put in like things just for examples. Basically what you have to do, and you can invite students right there. This is where you put in your students and they can just send them that link. and they just enroll. It's kind of like Google Classroom. Okay, with all that being said, let me go back. And say you want to do something, and I default to social studies, and actually I'm doing something, I just did a research thing on the Cold War. So let me type in something. Let me look at the Cold War. All right, and there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I have the, like I say, the YouTube video is up, but let's pick one. And as you can see, there is a ton of videos. Some of them have been made, and that tells you how many questions and notes. That's what I was talking about. I don't want you to use one of those. It'll tell me who makes the questions. You can also do it this way. Why don't I be a little smart about this? Let's go out and do YouTube. And I'm going to go to YouTube. Move my face. I'm going to hit Cold War. Alrighty. It doesn't matter which one I do. So I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to pick that. I'm going to copy.
Hi, I'm John Green. This is Crash.
I'm going to get that link. And go back to Crash. All right, let me go back and do it this way. It's going to show up. It should. Search. Okay. Boom. Okay, I have it. That's the video. That's YouTube. And I think YouTube's always the easiest, but maybe again, it's what I'm familiar with. There's my video. That's the content I want to do. I said the video only has to be 5 minutes. And as you look when I'm playing, this video is way over 5 minutes. See, I've already at 7.
The rules here are
But if you look, you can cut. So when I do this, I'm totally like add on. There you go. There's 5:27, 21, 17. Just to get you used to editing a little bit. If it comes in at like 6 minutes, I'm not going to lose it or anything like that. But I think you get the point. Okay. Reset. Now as you see, it should just do its thing. All right. Now it's going to let me. It's resetting. Hold on. I'm telling you to hold on. You're not even in front of me. Hold on. All right.
owner. The speech set a precedent for America.
So, and actually should be able to, boom, there's the cut. I could have done that a little easier. There you go. And always easier. Okay.
My policy and the truth.
Now, if you want to add questions to your video, you can hit right there. And this is what I was talking about. I want to see 5. You can do multiple choice, open-ended, or a note. If you want, you just click that. That's where it goes. I'm totally making this up, by the way. What? Actually, let's do this one. Who were the superpowers? And select right answer, and at least one, they're right. So put that in there and continue.
My policy and the Truman Doctrine.
Okay. Now that question is going to be right there where I put it. Now watch, I'm going to hit finish. And as you look, the video is only where I edited, where I pulled that line across. I was a little clunky with that, so hopefully you caught that. But that's, I'm not going to go crazy with the times. Don't worry about it. But if you can try to edit it back to 5, you just pull that line back. And then as you see, there is a multiple choice question at 4:51. I put it at the very end. You can also edit it. And we can go back, and that's the line I'm talking about. So if I want to make it a little longer,
For a military buildup, an arms race, which would become
also, if I want to add another question,
but it wasn't all about the military, at least at first. Like
pause it right there. Actually, let's go back. Right there. I want to put a question. Let's put a note there. So I want to put. You can do an audio, or you can just do a regular note. Who was Eisenhower? This tool is really good, and I didn't really get into this with Nearpod either, so let me just say this. I like Nearpod because it's interactive. It gets your students involved. You can do assessments with Nearpod, especially formative type assessments, just to kind of get those quick information checks that you want with your students. It's interactive. I will say this, I would not use Nearpod all the time. Some people think sometimes the students get a little numb to it. I usually did Nearpod 1 or 2 times a week. I taught middle school most of my career. That's just me. But now to circle back to Edpuzzle, I think this is something like, especially if you want to do a little bit of flipped instruction, you want your students to do something at home and maybe it's not a reading. I'm not a super big homework guy, I never was, but some people like to assign. I think this is something that's on there. Or if you just want something your students to do in a class, maybe station work or something like that, where they have their earbuds or whatever, since pretty much most schools are 1-to-1 now, you can just do something like that. So, but you click that, Eisenhower, there should be a note there, and watch what happens.
Strategic influence
Watch,
throughout
it
the
should
world.
pop up here in a
Perhaps
minute.
it's best to think of the Cold War as an era lasting roughly from
Yeah, it's rolling
1945 to
through.
1990.
Let's finish it. And I'm going to hit this again. I want to just show you what it does.
Hi, I'm John. The world's 2 superpowers, the United States and the
As you
USSR,
add those things
saw
in there, a
ideological
little clunky with this, but so if you have
influence
questions,
throughout
make
the
sure you
world.
ask, but you'll
Perhaps
see what's
it's
going to
best
happen here in a
think of
minute.
the Cold War as an
I did it as a question and not a note, but you would just put, who was Eisenhower? I might say Eisenhower was the supreme commander of the Allied forces. So, and then you can do it. Oh, you can also, if you go, I'm not going to get into this too much, but you can do settings where if you don't want students to skip things,
era
they
lasting
can't
roughly
jump
from
ahead and just do
1945
the questions.
This happens at the Cold War
Actually,
Center.
let's go back to that. I think, by the way, I want to fix that note.
Era.
There it was. Eisenhower. Of course, I won't let me edit now. Let's try this. There we go. Eisenhower. Supreme forces. W. Edit. That's more for my sanity. The settings. Finish. Okay, let me make sure. You can set those, and I'm sorry, I might have to look that up. I don't want to take too much of your time. You can make it public or private. You can do the preview. Oh, you can assign. Sorry, I think it's just assign. When you want to put this with your class, you hit that. There it is. Prevent skipping. Yes. So when you assign this to your students, they can't skip to just the questions. They can just do the notes. So, and whatever class I want to do, I'm going to put it in ours. And if you had a class built in here, you can easily do that. I'm not going to get into that for time. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. But if you do want to build classes, just contact me or watch the video. It's very simple to do. And it should be there. So there's the video. That is Nearpod. And if you look, it's right there. There's some of the others. And it tells you how many to have turned in and such. The main thing I just want you to do is create the video. And you can share it anytime you want with your students. So you need to create an Edpuzzle. Edit it to 5 minutes if you can. Don't get too hung up on that though if you're struggling with it. And 5 things. They can be notes. It can be 5 notes. It can be 5 voiceovers. I didn't even do the voiceover. It can be 5 questions in the video. Make sure you select the video and edit it. Edpuzzle might take a minute or 2 to play with. And if you have problems, just contact me or swing by my office. I'm in and out, but just give me a call or something and I can do it. Or we can just Zoom. Or we can probably solve it over email. So that's Edpuzzle. So if you want to chunk it and cut off here, that is fine. And next thing, I'm going to probably just close that out, close that out, close that out, and go back to our week. Next thing we have to do, I'd say Edpuzzle is going to be the trickiest one. The next one I would say is probably going to be the easiest one, but I like to make note of it, and it shows you something that you all have access to. That's QR codes in your Microsoft stuff. We talked about hyperdocs last week with Google, like how you can work on one document and do things. QR codes, actually, if you noticed on the, if you didn't, that's no big deal, but on the Nearpod and I think with Edpuzzle, you can actually share things now with QR codes. They're pretty common and most people know how to make them. But I have seen some cool stuff with them in classes where people have put up QR codes on the front of the board or on a screen off of the projector, and students have to hold up iPads and it takes them to them. I've seen people do cool things with surveys in schools, like if they're doing plays and they want people to get an idea of how many people are showing up or things like that. With all that being said, I want you to make a QR code. I want you to do it using your Microsoft stuff that everyone here has access to. And I'll show you how to reach that here in a second. What are you going to do? You're just going to create a 5 questions on there. Try to make it school related. It could be a survey. It could be something. I'm not really going to be too picky. I put content questions, just something that you think might be useful for you. Maybe it might be something like it could be a class eval that you decide to make on your own. Like, what did you think worked with this class? What do you think didn't work with this class? What do you think should be added to this class? I don't care, just as long as you can make it. Now you're probably saying, how do I do a QR code? I do want you to do it in Microsoft. And I'm going to slowly scoot this over. When you go to your Shepherd homepage, right there, and you click your email, I'm assuming everyone in here has probably done this a million times. It seems like I do it a million times a day, especially if I'm at home. When you go here, there's a column right down there, as you can see. This is a class I have to admit, if we had more time, it would probably be a good thing to do. But most people are pretty familiar with Word, I think, at this point. Don't forget, you have access to Word in this. This is your Microsoft OneDrive. This has all this thing in it. You have a team account, you have Microsoft Word, you have Excel, you have PowerPoint. You can make all your stuff in here, and it saves it just like that HyperDoc. So you can change it, and if you share the links, other people can share it and edit it and things like that. As you see, I don't think he might mind me talking. Dr. Stevens and I, we work, if you've noticed my email, I do stuff with the Center for Teaching and Learning. We have a calendar for trainings in the fall. Both him and I have access to that calendar, and we make changes to it. But that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about me. As you can see, though, you have access to all of this stuff in OneDrive, and it's saved. And if you hit the waffle board, you'll probably see something called OneDrive. And it has all your stuff. You can create folders and things like that. What I want you to do, though, is as great as all this is, I think PowerPoint, Word, awesome. We should go down to Forms. Click Forms. When you get here, there's going to be something called, you can do a new form or new quiz. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to do it as a form. And when you get here, you're going to get this slowly. All right, I'm just going to do this survey of, I know it's like, I'm just going to do it like this. All right, that's the title. Now I want to add a question. Do I want to do a multiple choice? That's the title. Oh, sorry, that was actually my question. Whoops. No, there it is. I didn't think I was going crazy. Next thing I want to do, let's do text question. All right, my question. Hopefully you got that. I put the title. Then after I put the title, I can do a new question, insert new. Let me do the first one. What is your class? I know that's not really an important question. Most people in that class are juniors or seniors, but and then you can have them type. Then you can do another one. And I might say, give it a rating. How would you rate this class? And you can give them stars, you can give them more. We'll do 6. So, all right, that's all done. And of course, you will get your responses there. And it'll tell you all your little information. That's all nice. What I want you to do is go to look at our preview just to make sure it's good. All right, you should be able to, at this point, collect responses. Okay, when you hit collect responses, there's 2 things here. There's a lot, actually, there's a lot here. You can, this is what most people do. They hit the copy and they send the link, which is probably straightforward. We're going to do a little bells and whistles though here. As you can see, there's the link. That's email. That's QR code, which we're going to do. And that's an embedded link. All right. I want you to hit QR code. I want you to download it. Now, once you do that, There's the QR code. And I want you to submit this on Brightspace, because what I will do, I will take my little phone here, my phone, I will put my camera up just in case you don't know how a QR code works. My face is actually throwing it off. Whoop. There it goes. And I can just click it. And as soon as I did that, it's, I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if I can do it. It's loading the form up. There it is. I have to sign in, but that's fine. I want you to send me the QR code. That's it. I just want to check out the forms. That's all you have to do with that. I just want you to be familiar to make a QR code. There are other ways to make them. The Google Forms does them too. Actually, like I said, I'm pretty sure Nearpod and Google or Edpuzzle, I said snuck a Google in there, Edpuzzle and Nearpod and Pear Deck all let you share QR codes. But for us, I'd like you to use the forms. Again, don't make it complex. It's a pretty straightforward one. And I think after Edpuzzle, you might need a little break. All right. Last thing, excuse me, Flipgrid. Oh, by the way, if we're chunking, you can chunk and stop right there. Last thing is Flipgrid. I have a feeling a lot of you that use Flipgrid at this point, or at least seen Flipgrid. There's a lot you can do with that also. You can. It's a nice way to get your students to communicate with cameras. Maybe if you're doing discussion boards and you don't want them to type. And it's, again, going back to those 21st century skills. It's a nice collaboration, communication, maybe even a little critical thinking. So as you see here, what I want you to do is I just want you to go to Flipgrid. You can, here's how to get it started. And I just want you to create a Flipgrid. It does, Flipgrid's been a little moody with some stuff. It actually, I'm going to say this, you should be able to set your settings to public, but if it doesn't, don't sweat it. Once the group is created, you know, you're going to put the topic in, but here's what I'm going to do. Let's go to Flipgrid instead of me mumbling. I can tell I'm getting a little long because I'm already starting to do this. Again, don't pay for anything with this. As you can see, there's some of the other sources. But you should be able to, if you don't have a Flipgrid account, you should be able to use your Google. Let's see if they'll let me. There you go. Or your Microsoft. I'm going to try. I think I have a Google login with this. I'm going to try it real quick. I do. Got it. All right. There's a lot going on in there. As you can see, I've actually joined a lot. What you have to do, once you create this, you can create classes and such, but the first thing you have to do, and I'm going to go back to my thing to make sure I'm not missing any steps, and I'm going to close all those out so I've got so many windows going. I'm scared always with Flipgrid that I'm going to miss a step. We do need to create a group. That's what I thought. Of course. All right, there's my groups that I created. Let's create a group. Name my group. Summer. I've actually thought about having everyone do their intros on Flipgrid before. Oh, there it is. Only people you approve anyway. I would do this if you're sending it to me, but if you want to approve me, that's fine. And again, you can see you can embed this in Google Classroom, which is another cool aspect. Let's create the group. Okay, there's a link. As you can see, there's an encode, there's the Google Classroom, things like that. All right, you can copy the link, and that's what you can send to me. There's the QR code, I believe. All right, that's where you can go in there and you can say hello. I would like you to add a question in there. So let's just go in here. That's, you know, somehow, like, you know, can you tell me something about yourself? Or if you really want to get cute, you can go in here, you can add a topic. And that is fantastic to do because I'd like you to do something with your content if you could. So do you think either side won? And, you know, I'll just put cool lesson. You can change your minute. I will say I have learned from experience, it's best to go a little longer than the 130. Some people talk a lot like I do. I usually do 3 to 5 minutes. 10 might be a little long. You can also add attachments. I'm not asking you to do any of that, but if you want to add a little bells and whistles, so we'll do 3 for this. I'm going to post topic. And as you see, when we go back to 3, there's a topic. And your students will just click on this and they'll post a video on it. So since I created it, I'm not sending the link out, but that's basically what I want you to do is send that you created one. I will say this, I'm not going to require it. You can actually record this question and put it in there. Some people like to do that and they put a little video there and embed it. And that is actually pretty simple to do. Let me go back. Actually, I'm going to make a new topic. Okay. If you see, import image, record video, there it is. I don't know why I didn't do that the first time. Watch. I don't care if you write it or if you do the video though, either one's fine. I think the video is more fun. Okay. And it usually does your countdown. I was gonna say, don't tell you when you're talking, I could say, hey, social studies students, welcome back. If you could, you have, oh, camera didn't load, but you get the point. And if you're really fighting it, just put the thing on there, shut tag. But those are some of the other things you can do. You can also do an image if you want them to respond to an image and such. So, or you can record a video before, YouTube video, all that. I want you to create that, send to me. That's Flipgrid. And again, as with everything else, if you're having really big problems with it, just contact me. We'll figure it out. And there are other videos that I have under here related to Flipgrid if you need it. If you just click materials, it should take you to the Flipgrid stuff. Yep, there you go. Video and all. Sorry, it looks a little funky. That's because it came over from Sakai when it rolled over, but the links are good. I'll check. I'll double check all the links before I open them, but they were good when I looked at them last week. Let's go back. That is it for the tech this week. That is Symbolu. I always said it. If you want to check that out, that's a bunch of ed apps. There's nothing really you can do with it. I think I have it on the discussion board. I'll double check. I've changed all that up a little bit. Why don't I look now? Oh no, this week's is on 21st century skills. That's what I thought. If you want to check that out, you can. There's nothing you have to do with it. It's just like a bunch of educational apps you can put on iPads or other different tools. Make sure you do the discussion board on 21st century skills. And then pick one of these texts and just do a review in 2 to 3 sentences. If you want to do it on Nearpod, if you want to do it on Flipgrid, if you want to do it on QR codes, that's fine. Don't do it on all of them. I'm not asking that. I just would like you to pick one. If there's one you love and you just want to say, I love it, I certified fresh it, I would use this every day in my class, great. If you want to say another, Edpuzzle was good in theory. I hated how clunky it was. Flipgrid's good in theory, but again, I kind of like live interaction. That's fine too. I don't own any stock in any of these companies, so I won't get too offended if you don't like it. I'm just hoping you take 1 or 2 out before the end and say, "Yeah, it's pretty cool." Oh, QR codes. I love QR codes. I'm going to QR code my whole room. That's how I'm just going to decorate it in QR codes so students can go around and do it. And it's a good way to incorporate phone use. That's fine too. You know, whatever you want to do with. That being said, that is week 2. You all have been rocking week 1. Like I said, I've been grading everything. Feel free to contact. I know we're a short class as far as time. So if you do get a little behind, just email me and just give me the heads ups. And you know, if you need to turn something in on Monday or Tuesday the following week, that's fine. I know it's a lot in a short amount of time. And by the way, you don't have to do these in order. There's no, it's just how I kind of envision them. So if you want to do the QR code first and just get it done, that's fine. I think that is it for 380. Lesson plan assignment. Again, I will post the assignments up. Again, it's just a summary. It's a brainstorming type thing. And you can start working on that anytime. You could actually complete it this week if you wanted to and just use Edpuzzle, Nearpod, a QR code. You don't have to, you can wait. With that being said, 380, great seeing you, talking to you. 500, if you can wait for 1 minute, I want to go to your all's class. I'll promise to make this short because it's nothing too complex. But last week, I know I mentioned you all have to do a component for this. It's one of the big differences between 500 and 380. And if you go to your course content, I think I posted this. I did. I need to add a little more to it. There's some stuff on here though, but as you can see, basically what I'm asking you to do, you have two options for this paper. Really, I would not make my life complicated in a summer class, but I will talk about both options really quick. Basically, you just need to pick a topic related to education and technology. It can be 21st century skills. It could be a piece of technology. It could be the good. It could be the bad. It's just anything technology oriented. I have a broad umbrella with that. I want you to do a 5 to 8 page normal research paper. It needs to be in APA format. Purdue OWL, I'll make sure it's posted up if you need a little bit of like crash course again on APA format. Double spaced 5 to 8 pages and 12-inch font. And that's really it. I thought I put a link up with some tech topics. I have one. I'll make sure that they're up, but you don't have to work off of that list. Also, I have it on here. I'm going to give you the choice because I usually always give everyone the choice, but I would not worry too much about this. If you're really thinking about moving onwards after you get your master's degree and doing a doctoral degree, you might want to consider doing it in a literature review format. That is traditionally your chapter 2 in a thesis or a dissertation, where basically you pick a topic like 21st century skills, and you find as much research that has been done on 21st century skills, and you basically, you don't review it, but you document and you outline what that research was in your chapter 2. It's definitely it's a graduate level style of writing, but so does research papers. But if you think you might want to go on and you might want to fiddle with chapter 2 or a literature review, that's fine. I almost didn't even put this on here, but because I've given other people the choice, because 1 or 2 people in the past have done it, you're welcome to do the literature review format. But really, I am totally fine if you just want to do the research paper. Nothing, just do a straight up one. I'll get topics, but actually, let me look. I thought I had those topics. I thought I had them on my home computer and I didn't put them on there. Let's just look real quick. Issues in, how about we do technology? Spell technology and you can look at any type of topic. And you can look, there's different ones, and I'm not picky. I think I even got some listing on Edutopia. Oh, one-to-one computing, is that good? That's a great topic, actually. Personalized learning, is that a good thing? You could do something with the pandemic and like the technology aspects. I mean, did it replace it? I'm not, again, I guess what I'm getting at here, I'm kind of battling at the end. I'm not too picky about what you're doing. You know what? I'm sitting here laughing because I think my wife has texted me and I have an iWatch. Maybe there's something that schools are starting to use iWatches as part of the technology, or how they're incorporating phones. Should they have phones? Those are all technology related topics. I am fine with it. I do ask, I don't think I have it on here, and I'm pointing at the screen. I don't have it on here. I will make sure. I would like you to make sure that you have at least 5 sources, and not just detailed, cited in the bibliography strongly. So with that being said, that's the research paper. It's cut and dry. Again, it should be, actually, let me fix that. I have it due on the 12th. I think that's a little quick. I know the syllabus says the 12th. I will move that. I'm going to move it to the 26th. I know most 26th is past our deadline. I'm sorry, the 19th. I'm going to put it on the 19th only because I need a little bit of time to read them. And a lot of things I have a feeling are going to be coming in on the 23rd. So I know the syllabus says the 12th. I will take them up to, why don't we do this instead? I'll have the 12th, but the end date is the 19th. And I will not mark it wrong or late or wrong if they do come in there a little bit late. But that is it. That's research paper. Nothing complex, just part of being a graduate student. With all that being said, I think that is it. Please chunk this, I hope. And I'll see everyone next week. Contact if you have any questions. Bye.